Hi, everyone, and welcome to Eat, Drink, Think. I'm your host, Gibson Thomas, the founder of Edible Marin and Wine Country magazine, a member of the network of edible magazines published across the United States and Canada. I am honored and thrilled to be interviewing Stanley Cheng, the founder of Hestan and CEO of Meyer Corporation. Stanley is a legend, and we have many mutual friends in the culinary world. But today is the first opportunity I've had to meet him in person. And on top of that, we are at his stunning property, Hestan Vineyards, in Napa County, California. Welcome, Stanley.
Wow, hello, Gibson. So good to have you here with us at Hestan Vineyards. And it's a rare pleasure.
Well, thank you so much. I feel like I'm here in the presence of greatness, because one of the things that you so generously do here at what you call the barn, which I have to laugh at. It certainly looks like no other barn I've ever been in, but a really gorgeous showplace for all of your cookware and your household appliances, including the beautiful new refrigerators that you're making. But you also host the American team to train here for the Bocuse d'Or. And I know we covered that in the magazine years ago. Right. And so I'm feeling all the spirits of the chefs who have trained for that international competition here. So thank you so much for welcoming me. Wow. So I'll tell our listeners a little bit about you, and then I would love for you to expand on that. So you grew up in Hong Kong, and you came to the United States to go to Oregon State University and were an engineering major. And your family had a aluminum rolling mill, thank you, called Meyer Aluminum. And I want to know what spark was lit in you to take that aluminum business and turn it into the culinary powerhouse. You have been called the Mount Rushmore of cookware.
You're too kind.
The goat of cookware and the godfather of cookware. So would love to hear in your own words how you got from there to here.
I'm happy to share the background, a little bit of history. You are going to know how old I am, because I'm going to tell you the history of non-stick and how I got started. When I was at Oregon State, the year was that we decided, my father was building an new aluminum rolling mill in Hong Kong. He had one, but built a new one, finished it in 1967. And 1967, at that time, he was doing other things. He was doing self-closing kitchen cabinet hinges and millions and millions of flashlights. And but I was in engineering school, and I was learning about, a new material, a new non-stick material, super low coefficient of friction. That's what makes it non-stick. And the year was 1969 when the two of us, we were talking, wow, with all this aluminum rolling mill, new capacity, it would be really fun, exciting to do. This new invention of Teflon, known as Teflon, which is non-stick, great for frying pans and saucepans, everything else. It's the most slippery material on earth, and that was discovered. And it was totally safe. But it was just introduced really by DuPont and a French company called Tefal in 1964. So it was very new at the time. So I thought, wow, didn't do any research. Let's just plunge into it. Let's just try this out, because it's such new technology. So the decision was made in 1969, and we hired a retired engineer from a company, a large company called Alcoa, and he had experience with a cookware company called Wherever, and so the two of us, Vic Boat was his name, and myself, we worked together. We said, okay, let's design a new non-stick cookware factory in Hong Kong at the time. So it was okay. Let's just do that. So it took us about a year to design it, and then order the equipment. And I graduated in 1971, and then we finished all the installation of the equipment in 1971, and then we started to manufacture by Christmas time of 1971, and we just started. And I was the engineer. I built a small team. I hired product designer, graphic designer, and I just started. It was a small division within the Meyer company. And so I started the cookware business with Meyer. That was our humble beginning. And then we grew from there. And I was always interested in something more innovative. So one of the fun things I did was I made, at the time, Chinese cooking was already becoming popular, but there was these terrible Chinese woks, the round bottom. They sit on a ring, on a metal ring on top of a flat cooktop, whatever it is, gas or electric, and it's very inefficient. And then the wok would slide around. So
Right.
I created the world's first flat bottom Chinese wok.
And what do you think, like, why did it take so long? I mean, what do you think
Well,
about, did you grow up and they were cooking in your home in Hong Kong?
Well, in Asia, all the wok cooking, they all do wok cooking. The wok bottom is always round bottom, spherical,
Uh-huh.
but it sit on these grates, gas cooktops with the grates designed, four different supports designed so they would sit properly. But for the rest of the world, for the US, the UK, Europe, everywhere, you have flat burners, flat cooktops. So it wouldn't fit. That's why somebody thought, okay, yeah, woks are good. So they did the metal rings that the wok could sit on it. Very poor heat transfer, and very dangerous actually. So anyway, that was the beginning. So I made not only the first flat bottom, and I made it non-stick as well. And it got a beautiful porcelain enamel on the outside, black non-stick on the inside with a beautiful lid. I still have one of these early pieces in our showrooms in Hong Kong, and it got the design award. I was very pleased with it. Then I because I had to do the sales as well, so I made using tool making lathe. I made a wok machine out of a solid block of aluminum. The aluminum block was like 100 pounds, and then machine to create the shape of the pan of the wok body, and created a wok lid as well. The finished product was like 25 pounds. So because I had to go and get some orders because I was an engineer, but I'm also in charge of sales and everything else. So I hauled that around the world. I flew to the UK, carried it with me, a 25-pound wok, and a machine out of a solid block of aluminum. And I met with a number of companies, and the direct selling company in the UK. It was on newspapers, direct selling. That was the beginning of print, and mail order companies. And within a few days, while I was in the UK, I got my first order, 4,000 of this new red flat bottom Chinese wok.
4,000?
That was a nice order. So we had to really manufacture that for a whole month before we could do 4,000 because we were so small at the time. Yeah, and now we do 100,000 pans a day.
So you mentioned to me earlier about really nonstick is so important. Like, it was healthier cooking, because certainly we all think of traditional Chinese food. You're cooking with a nonstick wok, perhaps so much oil. So with this brand new technology, the slipperiest surface, then you use less oil, but as you rightly pointed out, you add some oil because that adds the flavor, but you're not having to just bathe everything in oil with the nonstick surface.
Right. I did actually. This is one of the products. I did a couple of ranges of cookware. One of them with detachable handle, and then that I call multi-wear. We have 3 lines that I actually created. It wasn't just a wok. The wok was just one of the more unique items. The detachable handle one was also interesting because I recognized even then, we're talking about 50 years ago, that there was a demand for space-saving cookware. So these cookware nest to get into each other, and that also got a design award. And then I made some traditional cookware, but all non-stick, all with porcelain enamel on the outside. Porcelain enamel is a form of glass, very hard, and on the inside was this what at the time was Teflon. But Teflon itself is actually 100% safe. And it was actually it was something else in the ingredient that was a controversial product. But there was always this question about whether Teflon is safe. It is actually totally safe.
Yeah, would you go into that a little bit? I think for our listeners, because I remember, getting the call, everybody throw away your Calphalon, throw away, can't use that anymore. Could you delve into the science of the controversy?
Happy to. DuPont at the time was the biggest company that was making. It wasn't just DuPont. It was a company called ICI, it was a Japanese company that was making these Teflon wet material. But Teflon is actually a trademark of DuPont, and they were the largest, most successful company making the product. So it became generic, but they own the trademark Teflon, and Teflon itself is a totally inert material. It is the most slippery material still today on Earth. It was discovered by DuPont, by a scientist at DuPont in 1934. And it just sat in DuPont's lab from 34 to 64 for 30 years, and nobody did anything with it. And then finally, somebody had the idea, why don't we put it on cookware? Let's see because it's so slippery, let's see if it is good for cooking. And that was how Teflon was invented. And all the concerns about Teflon not being safe, there's actually a whole lot of misinformation in the marketplace. Teflon itself, a material is called PTFE, is actually totally safe. What wasn't safe, what DuPont got into trouble, and 3M also made this material that its material is actually called PTFE. It's polytetrafluoroethylene. It's a long word, but PTFE for short, and it's actually safe. But it was a material that they put into the Teflon wet material. Teflon is actually a water-based coating. If you put it into water, but water and Teflon is like water and oil. They don't mix. Teflon resins would float on top of water. In order for that to be incorporated into water, you have to add a surfactant. This surfactant is called PFOA. That was a material that is actually not safe. Okay. Not safe if it gets into the groundwater. Not safe for human. But let me explain why DuPont got into trouble. So DuPont and 3M got into trouble. They did not treat the wastewater when they manufacture PFOA, the surfactant, used to incorporate water, mix water with the PTFE resin. Resin is just very fine particles of PTFE. It's like powder. And to incorporate that, to mix it, you need to use PFOA so that it would become like a solution. Okay. But it's actually a mixture. But that was a material, and then they did not treat it properly and got into the groundwater. That was the trouble. But when the material that they use in PFOA, but in the manufacturing process of cookware, we put in the oven. By the time when we bake Teflon coated cookware in the oven at about 820 degrees Fahrenheit, when you get to 600, it burns off all the PFOA. The PFOA does not remain in the coating at all. Okay. So PFOA is certainly not in any of ours. So it's totally safe, and it just burns off. So it's actually not a forever chemical because it can be burned off. PFOA. And Teflon itself, PTFE, actually can be destroyed as well. So they call it forever chemicals, but it's actually not true. If you know how to treat it, it is totally safe. Okay. But anyway, that's what got DuPont and 3M into trouble. Okay. But the misinformation is a lot of people think Teflon is not safe, but Teflon is safe. And we use a very high grade of PTFE, which is actually not exactly Teflon, but it's a variation of that. It's a high performance Teflon, if you like.
Well, so tell us now, you have several lines of cookware. Tell us the differences between hard anodized, that I know you actually popularized the tempered glass lids for cookware, which I think is especially brilliant.
Are you getting me going now? Let me talk about one at a time. Let me talk about the tempered glass lids. A little Japanese company, actually, I didn't invent it. A little Japanese company in Tokyo invented this tempered glass lids. I was fascinating, and then when I discovered that, it was in the early 1970s. So I created a cookware line called Cook and Look, and you can see through the glass. First one to ship it, put that on cookware and ship it around the world. So I introduced tempered glass lids to US, to UK, to Europe, Australia, and around the world. The little Japanese company, I think after a while, they just went away. And and Meyer was, because I was always interested in technology, and tempered glass is like windshield glass. It's very safe. Even if you break it, it's into very safe little pieces, not into large, sharp pieces that can hurt people. And it's very difficult to break. And I actually made a device to show at a trade show with a hammer that challenged people, the trade to break the glass, and they couldn't, because it was something that I created. Okay, and then talk about the there's a second topic that you wanted to ask about.
Hard anodized,
hard anodized non-stick. When the year, this goes back to now the early 1980s, a company called Calphalon was making hard anodized aluminum professional cookware, but it was, because aluminum is very soft, they use this process, hot anodization, which is the same process people use to make aluminum windows and doors, anodized in color, and that's the same process called hot anodized, as opposed to soft anodized. So hot anodized is after the treatment of hot anodized, the aluminum becomes 8 times hotter. It's actually twice as hot as stainless steel. But however, like Superman, even hot anodized is a weakness. Superman is krypton. For hot anodized, it is simple cooking juices like vinegar, lemon juice, ketchup, and it cannot go in the dishwasher. It would eat away. It's very hard, but it's susceptible to a lot of these simple if you like, acids and alkalines, safe acids and alkalines in the kitchen. So then I thought, wow, okay, this Calphalon company, I thought it was great technology. I like that. But with that weakness, that wasn't any good, because consumers, after a few months of cooking with it, the interior of the pan would turn white.
I know that well.
Yeah. Then you're cooking on bare aluminum. Yeah. And then you cannot put it in the dishwasher. So I thought, oh, that wasn't good. But then I thought, why don't I, and Teflon was so soft at the time, that why don't I create a high-low system? So I created the Circulon system, which is with the grooves, circular grooves on the inside of the pan. Right. And then it's hot anodized, and then put the coating on top. And then the peaks of the circular grooves of Circulon will protect all the non-stick coating in the trough. So only if you can scratch it, you can only scratch 10% of the peaks, but not the non-stick in the troughs of Circulon. That's how Circulon was the first hot anodized non-stick in the world, and it was patented by me. Then 2 years after that, then we found that, hey, some people just don't like grooves, circular grooves on the pancakes, and then it's hard to convince them that it's actually non-stick, even with the grooves. So Bob Ray was president of the company at the time, and he was with Macy's Federated for the longest time. A very talented marketer. So we said, let's just do a second one. Let's not argue with the consumer. And if they believe that that the grooves is difficult to clean. Let's give them flat surface hot anodized. That's when Anolon was introduced to the world. It was another my invention. And Gibson, after that, I never thought Calphalon would abandon their core value, which is hot cookware without any coating. They saw that Circulon was successful and Anolon was also very successful. So they started to put non-stick on the inside. That really surprised me. And I didn't patent the flat surface one. I should have never listened
Stanley.
to this. I should never listen to this patent attorney that I hired, a British patent attorney, that he said, "Oh, it's going to be very hard, Stanley. I wouldn't advise you to try to patent Anolon." I should never have listened to him. I find that attorneys, they have their opinions, but now I know that you can appeal really to the patent office, and you can do presentation to convince them why it deserves a patent. Anyway, that was a mistake. Otherwise, Calphalon might not be around.
And, you do have patents on other products. I want to go back to that. But how many patents do you hold today?
Probably around 200.
Wow.
Well, over 50 years,
Yes.
Each year it's only like 4 patents.
Yeah, you learned your lesson that you were going to patent things.
Yeah. I learned not to necessarily listen to the patent attorneys.
But so what made you why did you think of the grooves in the first place? What was the step that led you to create Circulon instead of just going straight for a full coating like Anolon? Because
coating like Anolon, while the hot anodized interior of the aluminum pan now is 8 times hotter. It's actually twice as hot as stainless steel. So in the case of Anolon, if you scratch it, you're only a superficial scratch on the PTFE, on the Teflon itself. Then when you get to the metal on the other side, it's a hot anodized aluminum. It's twice hot as stainless steel. So you wouldn't have deep scratches. You have very, very light superficial scratches. And because of that, Anolon and Circulon both would last so much longer, 10 times longer than the normal soft non-stick at the time. And Tefal's non-stick was very soft at the time. And everybody had that problem. So when we introduced it, it was the typical non-stick frying pan. The retail price was $5 to $10. But with this process that we did, and there was a market for that, and the department stores loved the invention. So we were selling it for $20, $19.99 for a 10-inch fry pan, when it was, at the time, the going price was under $10.
Wow.
But because of that extra hot end. But Calphalon was going for $30, $40 for the same pan without any coating. So it was easy for us to justify and to present value benefits to the consumer.
Well, I think, from my dear friends like Tyler Florence, that is such a huge fan. They only have, Hestan culinary in their home and use it in his professional kitchens. I mean, just what you bring to the table, I think, I love one of your company taglines is that you're solving consumer pain points around cooking and doing that through innovation, that you're not interested in producing that $5 skillet. You want to produce something that truly does elevate cooking. And I love that you're solving those pain points and also creating more joy of cooking.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think, we look at what's going on in the world today, and we've got obesity problems. We've got, I firmly believe that people need to get back into the kitchen and learn how to cook for themselves. And if you can do it with really a product, I mean, I'm here at your vineyards and looking at these gorgeous displays of cookware. They're so stunning. They're like pieces of art.
Oh, thank you.
And I keep them out in my own kitchen on display and use them. And I just think what you offer is really an elevated cooking experience. It used to be, I wrote in my magazine one day about my mother not wanting to cook, and that I learned to cook from my grandmother. And my mother was so offended. How could I say that to the public? And all my 50,000 readers were going to read that she was not a good cook. But in her generation, in the 60s, it was a liberation for women to get out of the kitchen and to get into the workplace. But the way things have evolved now, it's a luxury to be able to cook. My happiest day is going to the farmer's market, cooking for family and friends, and cooking, with beautiful cookware. And it's not a drudgery anymore.
It should be cooking with fresh ingredients, healthy ingredients, should be a joy, including the cooking process should be a joy. And then cleaning shouldn't be so painful as well. And that's why non-stick was good. But then these days, we have an even better technology. That's it. That's the Hestan technology of nanobond. That is, I'll tell you a little bit about that. Let me tell you a little bit about how I started with Hestan. Hestan is something that I started in 1996. And my wife, Helen, and I, we live in San Francisco Bay Area, but we were always looking for a wonderful piece of property with a lake on it. And after looking for 3 years, from Half Moon Bay to Morgan Hill to Sonoma to Napa Valley, and we finally found one. After 3 years, we found this property that was just really 87 acres and a walnut orchard on it, and the owner used it for cattle grazing.
It was worth the wait. I can tell our listeners firsthand it was worth the wait.
It took a long time. Then we thought, wow. So within 5 minutes, Helen and I looked at each other and said, this is it. Okay. So we made an offer, and we paid the seller what he wanted for the property. And then so we bought it. It's really tucked away in the eastern end of Napa Valley. And it's still Napa Valley, but the eastern is county land. And it has 87 acres. And I bought out over the past 30-some years, I bought out a couple of neighbors contiguous to ours. And so we now have 237 acres. So we started to plant vines in 97. And then we kept just adding to it a little bit at a time. We learned the viticulture secrets and how to improve. So we now have 110 acres of vines. So that is growing grapes, which is wonderful to me, grow something really nice with the land, and making wonderful wine. I was very lucky that we were able to find a couple of very, very competent, actually very famous winemakers. And that one of them I hired way back. One of them was I hired in 2002. That was Mark Harrell. Then I hired Thomas Rivers Brown in 2009. And Thomas Brown, the Wine Spectator magazine, calls Thomas the Top Gun of Napa Valley. He really is so talented, so competent. And then he makes all the Hestan wines for us. And then he makes the Meyer Cabernet for us as well. And then 2005, I hired a second winemaker called Jeff Gaffner, and he makes the Stephanie wines for us. Now, without getting into so much detail, but wine is an interest, it's a passion. And then how the name comes from, I want to tell you that. My wife's name is Helen, and my name is Stanley. And I put Helen before myself, so Hestan. That's where the name comes from.
That's lovely.
Yeah, and that was how we started. So we had beautiful vineyards. We started to make wine commercially in 2002, and then the wines, even out of the gate, Robert Parker, at the time the most highly acclaimed wine critic in the world, gave our Hestan Cabernet made by Mark Harrell, gave it 95 points out of the gate.
Wow.
And then since that time, and we'll always have scores pretty much in the 90s all the time. And then actually not too long ago, a few years ago, another one of our wines called Meyer Cabernet. Meyer is a cookware company. And that one, the Wine Spectator named that number 8 wine in the world. That was a big surprise. I couldn't believe it. You're kidding me. And they didn't tell me ahead of time. And And it's after they tasted over 9,500 wines around the whole world, including French and Australian, Chilean, or whatever. And so that was, and then even the White House used the Hestan Chardonnay a couple of times in the past 15 years. That was the President Obama's White House. He used a couple of times to entertain visiting presidents. So that was good. But then with the wine under our belt, so to speak. So I was getting to know some of the chefs really well, getting to understand their problems, and of course I understand consumer problems. And then so we thought that the Meyer business was doing really well. So I thought maybe I should, frankly, what gives me, affords me the luxury of making wine. It's because I had a successful business. Yeah. Otherwise, honestly, making wine to make money is, I would advise most people against it.
That's
unless you're really serious into getting into the wine business. And but I thought, okay, with the chefs I came to know, and of course my experience with cookware that Meyer makes under all the different brands that we have, Circulon, Anolon, under license we manufacture for KitchenAid, and I make Rachel Ray. I even made anyway a number of other brands, and we make
Rachel Ray the chef. Rachel Ray the chef. She has her own cook line, and you manufacture.
We started to work with Rachel Ray, more than 15 years ago, and we licensed her brand, and she had the cooking show, 30-minute meal, and then the talk show on a daily basis. So it was good. It was and then I bought Faberware for cookware and bakeware. I bought it some 25 years ago. So we had a number of brands, but then I thought, okay, what can I do? Something challenging. I had always wanted, you at Hestan. So the most interesting technology in cookware, certainly in stainless steel cookware in the world for over 110 years, it's this invention that we call nanobond. Stainless steel was invented in Sheffield of England and Germany at the same year. And then in 110 years, there were a lot of variations of stainless steel, but they mostly relates to the corrosion resistance of stainless steel, which is a well-known feature or benefit of stainless steel. But stainless steel is actually not that hard. It's harder than aluminum, 4 times harder, but it's still soft. And stainless steel cookware is not actually stainless. It just stains less. That's the difference. So and then there was a non-stick, but non-stick cookware, a lot of consumers overheat it, and non-stick don't last forever, realistically. And unless you're very careful, which some people are, and after 20 years, they're still good for saucepans.
And you're never supposed to cook without food in it. Don't heat your pan without food in it.
Exactly. You dry heat the pan, then you burn out the non-stick. When you get over 500 degrees Fahrenheit, and so that's not good. So, but anyway, for stainless steel, okay, I was, believe it or not, Gibson, for 30 years, I was very interested in see if I can improve stainless steel for cookware. So I tried it 30 years around the world. I tried in Italy, tried it in Hong Kong, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't make stainless steel to do this using a process called PVD to make it, to give it color. Yes, that I can. And make it beautiful, I can. I couldn't make it durable until about 15 years ago, working with a technology company in Chicago. And we developed nanobond technology. And it is actually incredible technology. It makes the stainless steel 4 times harder, the nanobond surface. And using this molecular titanium technology, I wouldn't get into details of it, but it's incredible. And then we make this nanobond cookware. We polish it to give it a beautiful mirror polish finish. The purpose of doing that, not only on the outside, but even on the inside, one of the reasons why stainless steel cookware sticks so badly, because stainless steel is soft, and stainless steel cookware always on the inside there is this brush finish, this sunray finish, as we call it, and there's a lot of micro pores in it, and the food would get into the pores, and that's why it is so difficult to clean. And then it scratches, of course. But people don't mind it. They say, okay, stainless steel. And some people prefer stainless no matter what. Some people prefer cast iron, and they tolerate the staining on cast iron, and they tolerate the fact that you can never really wash a cast iron pan properly with detergent, or certainly you cannot put in dishwasher.
Right.
So there's that desire, that consumer problem, that consumer would love to have really wonderful cookware that performs well, heats up quickly, and like aluminum, but stainless steel, you have to have stainless steel is a very terrible heat conductor. Aluminum conducts heat 10 times faster than stainless steel.
Oh, I did not know that. That's
10
really
times faster. And cast iron is kind of like stainless steel. Cast iron is better than stainless steel, but it's not that much better.
It is aluminum.
So we created this nanobond cookware, Hestan, under the brand Hestan. It's stainless steel inside and outside, and in between is an aluminum with the highest performance of heat conductivity that I could get my hands on. And that aluminum actually performs, in terms of heat conductivity, performs other cookware manufacturers that use without using a trade name. But they use a sandwich, 3-layer or 5-ply stainless steel with aluminum in between, and that aluminum is a different kind of aluminum than one we use. So the aluminum that I use is pure, and it conducts heat. It conducts heat 30% faster. So that's the inside. That's construction of it, and then this nanobond technology now is a very, very labor-intensive and very energy-intensive technology. But once it's made, the pan would last virtually forever for home use.
Wow.
How do we know that? We supply nanobond pans to restaurants, and they use it for 6 months or a year. Or they use it, actually continue to use it after that for years. But then we check with the chefs and say, okay, so chef, so how many times do you use this fry pan a week? There's a restaurant called In Situ in the SF MoMA, San Francisco.
Corey Lee.
And that's Corey Lee, Chef Corey Lee. And said, oh, it could be 100 times a day. And after 6 months, that will be equivalent to home use of 40 years.
Sure,
if you use it every day, it'll be 40 years. And then the pan still looks brand new. And occasionally you want to refresh the surface. There's some stains on it, but nothing like the stains that you see in normal stainless steel. But we supply a cleaner I call Hestan Nanobond cleaner, and it comes in that white bottle, and you just squeeze out a little bit of that, a quarter inch, half an inch of this Nanobond cleaner on a dry paper towel or Scotch-Brite if you like. And then you can just clean the pan in less than 2 minutes inside and outside, and I guarantee the pan will be like brand new, the way you bought it, out of the box. And that would be even after you use it for 40 years. I mean, it's incredible technology. It's really like a miracle. It's hard to explain to people, how that is possible. The secret is that nanobond is 4 times harder than stainless steel. And because the surface has this mirror polish finish on it, it has no micropores. So food cannot get stuck in the micropores of the surface. And that's why it is so easy to clean.
So nanobond, you are selling that to chefs, professional chefs, and for home cooking under the Hestan brand. Under
the Hestan brand. We're the only one in the world. We have 14 patents around the world covering this technology. It took me 15 years to perfect it, and that's $25 million invested in this technology as well.
Wow!
One of the most successful retailer. I won't name any names, but it's the CEO said to me, Stanley, you invested $25 million into this nanobond technology. Hate to tell you this, Stanley, you're never going to make money on this because it's expensive. With her experience with what cookware out there in All-Clad, Le Creuset or whatever.
Oh, when you said her, I know who you're talking about now.
Yeah, it's you know, and she is perhaps the most successful, really CEO of a retail company in this country that sells kitchen products, particularly cookware, and that's. But that wasn't the goal. It was a long investment. To me, it was something that I had this yearning to do something truly groundbreaking that the world needs, the world would appreciate.
It's obvious you have a passion for this.
Yes, that's a little bit of Nanobond story, and it is an incredible technology. If listeners, consumers are interested, I would encourage them to try just a little fry pan, to see if you're interested in cooking. If you like stainless steel, you're gonna love Nanobond. And if you're worried about nonstick, whatever it is, ceramic doesn't last. Ceramic nonstick is not durable. After a year or two, it will wear out. Teflon, you're worried about it, even though I tell you that Teflon is totally safe, and Anolon, Circulon, certainly totally safe. But if you want something better, and something that actually going to give you unlimited years of joy in cooking, and believe it or not, I thought I would never say this, but it's actually possible for consumers at home to actually enjoy cleaning Nanobond, because most consumers would know how difficult it is to clean stainless steel. Yes. And cast iron. So to clean Nanobond is actually a joy. It's an incredible feeling. You can run your Scotch Brite and sponge on it. It's so slick the way it cleans, and particularly the way it cooks, the incredible heat response. And Chef Corey Lee said to me, Stanley, I don't know what you've done with this pan, but gosh, whether it's your Hestan French top or cooktop, but it's incredible. Yeah. And he said, this is the pan. It's actually both. It's the Hestan French top. For restaurants that is very hot, is at 1,000 degrees, the French top. And then the Nanobond. It's
as a home chef, and in anticipation of meeting you this week, I had friends and family over, and I cooked pork chops that I had brined. And as I shared with you earlier, I did a cook-off between one of your Hestan Nanobond skillets and one of my grandmother's cast iron skillets that I have carried around with me from pillar to post, from coast to coast. And I was saying, I had my brother was one of my dinner guests, and I said in front of somebody else, when my grandmother died, who I learned to cook from, we each got one of her cast iron skillets. And he exclaimed that he hadn't gotten one. So the cat was out of the bag. But the good news for him is that when I did the test on the same beautiful, Viking burner, the Hestan Nanobond skillet made a much more beautiful golden crust on those brine pork chops in shorter amount of time. And as you've reiterated, oh my gosh, the cleaning time was so much easier with the Nanobond. I mean, that cast iron skillet, you can't use soap, and you have to put the hot water in it, put it back on the skillet, which I do lovingly, but it's really wonderful to have.
I'm glad, Gibson. It was a good experience. And yes, that experience, for anybody that tries Nanobond will be very surprised by that. Tremendous heat response, and then the way that it's so easy to clean. But then Nanobond has a lot of other features in it. But Nanobond is expensive, though. It's not, because it's expensive, frankly, it's not necessarily for everyone. For people that actually enjoy cooking, it's well worth it. But then a lot of the other features in Nanobond that with my team, I thought it was Hestan team. It's also good to make stainless steel, like the sealed rim of the pan. No aluminum is exposed, and then we encapsulate the rims of the top rim of the pan in stainless steel, and it makes it stronger. You can hit your metal utensils on it, and you don't ding it like you normally ding stainless steel cookware so easily. And then on top of that, we do the flush rivet on the inside. Really makes it very no dirty ring around the rivet head, and it's just a pleasure. And then there's the same construction with this incredible high conductive aluminum that works so well, just without the nanobond technology, but with stainless steel. And then I did something unusual as well with my Italian top engineer, who's also our factory manager. We said, let's do something unusual. Let's do plain stainless steel better. What can we do? So I challenged him. I said, why don't we do thick bottom, thinner sidewall, and thick rim? And to reduce the weight a little bit, because a lot of people don't like heavy weight, it reduces a little bit, and then it would be also very distinctive. So we use a manufacturing process called forging. Would forge a flat stainless steel, tri-ply stainless steel disc, and a thicker bottom, thinner sidewall, and a thicker rim. And ProBond was born. ProBond is stainless steel with all the other benefits and then same handle as nanobond. And then just on that handle, I worked with with Chef Corey Lee. He was very patient with me. We worked on it for a whole year, and to create the handle with that little bump finger guard on the bottom of it, because chefs like to use, because the pan could get hot handle. The handle could get hot. They always use the cloth to hold it. And then and Corey said, chefs like cooks like to slide their hands forward to reduce the perceived weight. So you hold the end of the handle. Of course, the pan feels heavier. You slide the hand forward, it feels lighter. And that finger guard at the bottom is to stop the finger from going all the way and touch the hand itself. And that's little things like, if I don't explain it, people wouldn't understand. Well, what is that little finger guard on the bottom? What does it actually do? And it's not a trigger. It's actually a finger guard to stop your finger when you're holding a piece of cloth from sliding forward. So all these benefits of nanobond in the construction of stainless steel, with this beautiful stainless steel line we call ProBond, Hestan ProBond, at half the price. Very competitive in the marketplace.
And people can find that at retail.
People can find it at retail. They can find it, more because Hestan is still quite new, on our website, HestanCulinary.com. Or you can go to Hestan.com. But HestanCulinary.com would bring you directly to the cookware website.
What I had not seen before, and I saw today, is this gorgeous copper cookware.
Right.
Now, is that nanobond, or is that stainless?
That is copper bond.
Okay.
And copper, people like copper. And again, we're solving a consumer problem. The two pain points that consumers have with copper. One is copper is difficult to maintain, difficult to keep clean. And so Roberto Taranga, my factory manager, and we created. So why don't we keep the beautiful copper on the sidewall, stainless steel on the inside, and then we make the pan stronger too, and reinforce the rims of the pan with stainless steel. So the top part of the almost an inch of the top of the copper bond is stainless steel, copper, and stainless 3-ply, and then the bottom is that there's another pain point. Consumers, many of them love to use induction, but copper does not work on induction. So Roberto and we bonded a piece of stainless steel to the bottom of the pan, of the copper pan, and going up the sidewall a little bit as well, the corner a little bit, to protect the corners, because that's the part you bang around the most. You can scratch it. So the stainless steel going up from the base, going up the corner just a little bit, and the whole sidewall is beautiful copper. And the contrast is beautiful. You get the beautiful luster and richness of the copper color.
Absolutely.
With the stainless steel. It's a nice contrast.
They really are pieces of art. So I want to get to a couple of things before we close out. And one I feel like is really important, which is how you've brought your family into the business. But before we get to that, I just want to say, looking at and listening to Chef David Chang, who I love, and talk about, you call your flat bottom wok, you call that the chef's pan. Is that right?
Yeah, the wok, and plus, a variation of that is a chef's pan with a long handle.
Okay. But I just think, for even if you think, oh, I'm not cooking Chinese food, I don't need a wok. To me, and what he really pointed out, which drove it home for me, the wok has got such brilliant high sides and the way they're angled so that everything is going down. You can actually, first of all, cook without making a sloppy mess, although if you're stirring something while you're cooking it on the stove, but also like you can take things out of the heat, put them back in the heat with those high sides, get them off the bottom. So I think, for consumers, you think, oh, I don't need a wok. But to me, the wok is really an essential, or your flat bottom chef's pan.
Yeah, it's wonderful with a high slope sidewall. And it's a very versatile, really piece of cookware that you can do you use it as soon as a fry pan, you use it as a saucepan, and everything in between. And we make other professional cookware products too, like a rondo which is like a rondo is like a Dutch oven, super large Dutch oven. It could be 12, 15, 20 inches diameter, and then with low sidewall. Chefs love that. And we make these. Hestan is professional grade cookware. And so we do a variety of constructions, nano bond, pro bond, copper bond, and then all the handles match, all the lids match, and so the consumers can mix and match. They can have whatever they want. If they want, they don't have to have a whole set. If they want, they can have a whole set in copper bond, whole set in pro bond, whole set in nano bond, or if they wish, they can mix and match.
Well, and I see with the holidays coming up, you've got beautiful roasting pans. And are those the non-stick as well?
Yes, we do make one that is non-stick, a roasting pan. And Pamela Stafford, my managing director of Hestan Culinary, kept telling me, Stanley, can you make a nano bond roasting pan? I said, yes, but it's going to be very expensive. It's probably going to be double the price. And Pam says, no, it doesn't matter. There will be a customer that demands the best would be willing to pay for that. And so we are about to satisfy Pam's wish to make a nano bond roasting pan.
How lovely of you. And I think they're so beautiful, you could bring it to the table.
Yes, it is. And then Pam also created a lot of interesting, great products to go with cookware. She created some beautiful Hestan sheet pans. Mixing bowls, and it really everything is top quality premium products.
I saw strainers. I saw you were making colanders
right? Yeah, we're going to continue to make new products. Like we think a double burner would be a great idea, a large double burner. So that would come, and that probably we would probably do that in nano bond. Because it would be, and you can use it as a serving tray, and it won't scratch.
Oh wow! Well, I love how you brought Pam in here, and you celebrate members of your team. And as we were touring your property this morning, you showed me the Stephanie Vineyard or Stephanie Wines. One of your children and your two boys have another. What's the name of their wine?
Vincent Christopher.
Because
the reason is, I was this friends and family accuse Helen, oh, you favor your daughter. You only did a wine to honor her. Actually, she never appreciated that. She was 12 years old at the time. She felt totally victimized. Why not name it after Vincent or Chris? Yeah. And why me? Yeah. And anyway, then she got older, and then her teachers, and later on when she get to drinking age, her friends taste the wines. Wow, these wines are really good. And then she realizes, hey, that's not so bad, Dad. I mean, the 70 wines are really good. But I couldn't register Vincent and Christopher. So after about 10 years, believe it or not, so one day it just dawned on us that why don't we try. We couldn't register Stanley and Helen also. So we couldn't make any of the wines under Vincent or Christopher. But then we got the idea, why don't we try combining the two names? And that was when the wine Vincent Christopher Pinot Noir was created.
Wonderful.
And finally, And then they still sharing, the two boys still share one wine. And Stephanie has like under her label there are like 5 wines, including a rosé that she wanted.
Lovely. Well, I'm a rosé all day girl these days, so I'm going to have to try that. And Stephanie is also in the cookware business with her glass microwave line. Can you tell us just a little bit about that?
Right. She that was actually, Stephanie is in the family. I have to say I'm okay. I test cookware products. I can cook. I'm particularly good grilling. And Helen cooks too, but she is basic skills in the kitchen. But in the family, somebody has to be really good, right? And there was Steph. Steph was always her culinary skills from a very young age. She was adventurous and she was smart. She learned quickly, and she worked for Alice Waters one summer. She worked for Mike Tuss of Queens. Katona a little bit, and to gain experience. It was her interest, and we created all these different wines and the cookware, and it's just fun. It's something that it's a business. It has become a business now, but we are little known. We're still a boutique winery, and to find us, you would have to go to Hestan.com. You can see we make major appliances in Anaheim, California. We have our customers, 1,200 customers we have so far in the past 6-7 years. And our customers have close to 70 Michelin stars.
Wow.
And in Yountville, Chef Thomas Keller's restaurants all have Hestan commercial equipment. And we make residential equipment as well. We make that. Our factory is in Anaheim, California. We're like 12 minutes away from Disneyland.
Love that California made. Well, it is such a treat for me to meet you, and I can't wait to share your story with the Edible podcast listeners. And now I know who to call when I need a reservation at all.
Absolutely. Thank
you for elevating the art and science of cooking and bringing the joy of cooking back. I mean, it is such a joy for me. And part of that is absolutely the cookware that I'm using, as well as fresh ingredients. So thank you
Gibson, I have to invite you to try Hestan wines. I have a wine tasting salon in Yountville. We're next to the Bouchon restaurant. So we should actually go there for lunch or something.
Yeah. I'm in.
Yeah, that would be, so Hestan wines. And Hestan makes major appliances. We make wine, started with wine, and then appliances, cookware at the same time. And we have Hestan Smart Cooking as another thing, with new technology that we are about to introduce, a new app for Hestan app. That the first one that we did wasn't perfect.
I think we're going to have another podcast in probably not very long from now, so you can showcase everything new you've done between now and then.
It'd be fun to do. It's fun talking to you.
Oh, great talking to you. Thank you so much, Stanley.
Thank you.
We've been speaking with the founder of Hestan, Stanley Cheng. Thank you for joining us today on Eat, Drink, Think. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcast and look for your local Edible magazine. You'll find show notes for today's episode at ediblecommunities.com.